Hello.
Hello.
We're going to talk about some relationship stuff today.
Oh, it's deep, it's big. It's an interesting one, though. This is an interesting discussion that's come up many times. Not many times, as in from when you learnt this. Really interesting thing.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today, Tash?
So if you have ever fought with your partner, you might want to listen to this. So to paint the picture, should we start at the end and then we'll backtrack to kind of reverse engineer it. So what happened on Tuesday, I thought we were recording podcasts and episodes for the companies, and I came into the office with that intention and that thought, because it was in the calendar and I was told to Phil we do things in the calendar. And so Tash had one plan and one intention, and Phil then said, what did you say to me? You were doing a webinar.
I'm working on another project that you said it was a must finish by the end of this week.
This is true.
That had to be done no matter what. Drop everything else was essentially what you said.
I said it was very important. I did not use the words drop everything else.
Pretty sure I heard that.
So that resulted. Now you have to. That's the facts. That's kind of what happened. Yeah. But how you can then react to that is a million different choices and a million different things. And I could have completely understood that where Phil was coming from, and that the webinar was very important, and I understand that he's feeling confused, and I understand that he doesn't check the calendar and he didn't know that we were filming, and that I could just totally understand, and I do understand where you were at. But at that time, was I in the mode to understand anything about you, or was it all about me?
It was all about Tash. Often is the way, but as you get to know it, she's a pretty cool person.
So I screamed at Phil like I haven't screamed at him in a really long time. Did my the best performance really that I've done for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Slammed that door so loud, I don't know that something didn't break.
I think some plaster did come down actually. And a little cloud of dust. Kate and I were coughing in the office for a little while. Asthma pumps were out. Not that anyone has any. What it felt like.
And yes, now if Phil and I were not evolved, or if Phil and I didn't understand each other at a deep level, a fight like that could actually be quite devastating in a relationship.
Yes, it could.
Like I didn't feel it at the time, but objectively, very unfair, very unjust, said horrible things, called him horrible names. And if I wasn't in check of my emotions, but if I wasn't smart enough, I could have also left. It was one of those fights that you could leave over.
Yeah, sorry, just removing the cat from the
But
office.
it's and these things are not good for the relationship. So do you want to tell everyone what you were feeling when I was screaming at you and telling you that you were useless and very bad and it was all your fault?
Yeah, what was I feeling? No, I was doing my thing. I was working on my slide deck.
Trying to do his webinar.
And I'm like, oh, Tash must be something must be getting at her today. I hope she's feeling all right. It's clearly, and this is from a learned thing over time, but I know it's nothing to do with, it was her yelling and screaming was nothing to do with me. And all
so we have to pause there.
Yes.
Me yelling and screaming at you, about you, everything about how bad you are had nothing to do with you.
No, nothing. No.
And this is what you have to understand. Both men and women have to understand that. Because as the woman, you're like, and I'm not saying masculine, I'm talking about masculine energy and feminine energy. So female, the feminine energy does this every now and then. When it is feeling under attack, when it is feeling unsafe, it decides to test the man to see if the man has the female.
Yes.
And even in same-sex relationships, it still happens, the feminine energy and the masculine energy.
They said energy exists in both energies
It
exists
both
in all
sexes.
people.
Yes.
Yes.
And so Phil very smartly and very, very correctly identified after an hour. It still took you an hour. Like you meant to get there within 10 minutes.
I was working on the stuff actually. I was in a really good zone.
And he messages and he says, I can't even remember your full message, but it was all about, I know you're upset and scared and stressed about the house, and I know you don't know what's happening next week, because if you don't know, we don't know where we're living, and we don't, because the pandemic has closed borders and we bought a house and we can't get into it. And but basically I understood. I was stressed, I was scared. And if you threaten a female without giving her a shelter or somewhere safe to be, they tend to go a bit cuckoo. But you understand that. And so it could have been, it was the podcast calendar, but it could have been something as innocuous as Phil looked left. I could have just started in at him. And females, if you're listening, have you ever done that? Your husband has just done something like he forgot to put the dish in the dishwasher, or he forgot to put the bins out, or he didn't listen to you when you said, oh, look at that thing on the TV, and he didn't look up straight away. And you just launch into a full-blown attack. How dare you? I'm so sick of you. How could you do this to me? You are the worst, and we should not be married anymore. I'm sure you're listening going, yeah, I've done that, because most females have. It feels like I just really lucked out if you're the only female that ever does this.
No, and then another, and some of the males might be going, yes, I've had that.
Yeah, and so we speak to our personal trainer is not married, but I talk to him about that. I go, like, have you been tested? He goes, what do you mean? I go, females will test you before they figure out if they should trust you with their hearts.
Said to him, have they ever stormed out of the room on you? Or
yeah, so females will, and we'll do little tests to begin with, to just gauge where you're at, because basically we want to know when the saber-toothed tiger comes running into the cave, you're going to fight it. But what most men do when they're under attack, because we become a saber-toothed tiger in the story, men retreat. So if I scream at you, the man just goes, I'm out of here. Like, you either leave, or I'll leave from the room. So I'll be like, so I can't believe you did that. And I'll slam the door and leave, and you have to follow me. Which you did do an hour later. It's a bit late. But that's the masculine energy has to. And then you're going to follow me, and I'm going to go, get the F away from me. I can't believe you did this. You are the worst. Get away. I don't want to be married to you anymore. They are not my words. Of course I want to be married to you, but I'm going to test and say I don't want to be married to you to see if you go, well, I don't want to be married to you either. And I'll go, I was right. He couldn't be trusted. I'm going to say hurtful things to you. I'm going to say testing things to you. I'm going to say, and then even if you still say, well, I want to be married to you and I love you no matter what. And that's what we're really testing, this man to go, I love you no matter what. Even if I'm cuckoo crazy and I'm unfair and I'm unjust and I say things that aren't real, even then you're still.
What was the magic line again? I've got you.
Yeah, I love you.
And I've got you.
And I've got you. And everything's going to be okay.
That was all. Yeah, that was all. So
if you only need one line, it's just I love you.
Yeah, and I've got you.
Yeah.
And Tash learnt this
well over 10
years ago, and that would be we were married then, but it was shortly after, and it's a really interesting thing because the tests keep coming, guys. That test masculine
doesn't stop
energies,
when you get married.
The tests continue to come, and Tash explained this whole scenario, and I'm like, oh, is this just a way? We went to this thing. Yeah, this explains it away, so you're allowed to like do this, and it's completely
unfair. The female gets to do this, and the male has to say, "I love you. I've got you. Everything's going to be okay."
But then, so that's right. I just go, this is really unfair.
I agree with you.
Bullshit, really.
But it's the way it's nature. Gravity's unfair too.
Yeah, but if we try to have an understanding, because we obviously have different energies and different masculine and feminine, we're never going to really be able to understand from your perspective. So by someone really deep diving and explaining this, you just it's really interesting. So Tash told me the whole thing, explained it away. And then I remember the first time that the test came, I think it was a big one.
And guys, you have to realise women aren't going, I'm bored, I'm just going to test him today. It's an unconscious pattern. I did not know I was going to do it. I didn't know I was doing it. I just unleashed. But tell them about the first time.
Almost kind of sat there bewildered because firstly, as often when you're yelled at, then what you do is kind of reactionary. There's no,
You want to have your emotions and be
Yeah.
like, you crazy psycho bitch, what the fuck are you saying? Get the fuck away from me.
yeah, or you
You
can
don't
be
get
a very
to have
quiet
any of that.
person. You just don't kind of say anything. But either you're just like, it's happening, and you're trying. You know when they say, so if someone was out yelling at you for different things, and it's like the person who can control their emotions controls the situation.
Yeah.
But at the start, or it's a little battle between your emotions inside and what's happening. And luckily for me, I've had many numerous times.
I
to
give
work
you
on it.
lots of
You
times
give me
to
a lot
work
of
on it.
tests, but that first couple of times, and then over time. So I think that first few times, I think it was a couple of hours later. Just, oh, you finally did it. Okay, we're back to normal. Everything's fine. But as time goes on, you get better. You can diffuse the situation then in a matter of
There was one
seconds
point
or
when
minutes.
you were really good. Like, so this one was a really big one and it took you a while. One of the ones like a month ago, you were just straight away there. This isn't about that. I love you. I've got you. What do you need? And you straight away hugged me and it was gone in an instant.
But and even though you've explained the situation, you said the words that need to be heard. Then when that actually happens to you, what does that change in you, and how does that change your state and
You
your
dissolve.
feelings?
You just dissolve. You just go, okay, I don't need to if you tell me everything's going to be okay, then I don't need to fight. Because I feel things aren't okay, so I'm going to fight. And now you've just become my enemy because you don't seem to. Because you've got to understand, as Phil said, that the energies are different. Phil not having a home isn't a worry for him.
No.
He just doesn't care. No. And for me, it is the most terrifying thing that I could ever think of. So the fact, because Phil goes, well, we do have a home. The fact that we can't get into that home is so stressful for me, and so not even a concept in his world. You just have no even awareness of it.
No thought around it at all.
It's just
It
like,
will when it's time. It will.
So when you've got these two people in the same situation having a completely different reaction to it, you have to understand each other. And it's all about that meaning. So I can go, Phil doesn't care about when he gets into the house, so therefore he doesn't care about living with me, and he doesn't care about our family, and he doesn't care about creating memories in our house. None of that's true. It's just how he codes and how he works with the world, and it's a good thing because there is nothing we can do about it. So we have to adopt a bit of Phil's go with the flow, because me fighting against it is not going to help anyway, because there's literally nothing you can do.
Yeah.
But then Phil also has to respect that this is a big thing for me and that I am struggling emotionally with it. So he has to be that rock and he has to be the support. And when the feminine energy knows she's safe, even if she's not safe, like the saber-toothed tigers are still out there, but if they come in, I'll still fight them for you, then she can let down her guard and not be so crazy.
And how did you feel? So learning this stuff, that's pretty cool. Then implementing it.
There's nothing I have to implement. You're the one that has to do all the growth.
Feel it was as a growth of relationship between the two?
It saves the relationship.
But does it make it even a lot considerably stronger as well?
Yeah, because before we knew this, I don't know if we did know if we were going to stay married, or I don't know if we were married or just together at the time. Because we would have these screaming arguments. And you would just be like, she just morphs into this crazy person, and she
like
annoys
the
me.
Feminine Hulk. If we were given a visual.
It is. And you were like, it's annoying. Stop doing that. And I was like, I can't tell you how much I hate you in those moments. I hate you. Because you're not fighting the tiger for me. Yeah.
And it's not you really hating, it's just that
it's
situation.
Just the emotion.
Yes, and it could be something else. A fly could have buzzed past your face. And
I can't impress enough. It's nothing that Phil did or will do in the future. It's just he is there, and when I decide that I'm not feeling safe, I'm going to launch something.
Yeah.
And please note, that's unconscious.
So, bit of an informative episode.
Yeah, so if you're fighting with your spouse,
so what's the steps?
You're the one that's got to give the women. The woman doesn't have to change anything. So basically, like as a man, if you're listening to this, going, I really would like to 10x my relationship. I would
Yeah.
like to take it to the next level. I do want to stop the fighting. I do want to stay married to my
Deeper
wife.
connection and
Yeah.
deeper trust, and when you get that reassurance of after that, then you let go a bit more and a bit more open and a bit more.
And like, I remember when it was taught to us, like I remember the guys would say, like in the class, they'd go like, but this doesn't seem fair, and what if we don't? And straight away the comeback was, yeah, well, there's no sex. A woman cannot have sex, or that energy cannot, like, there's like, no, because sex has everything to do with trust. And if you're not going to fight the saber-toothed tiger, like, no. So, if you want that intimacy, you want that vulnerability, you want that whole relationship ecosystem working, it does take this. And I get that it's not fair. But like we say, there's gravity. It's just a universal law. It's how we're wired. But yeah, just be ready for it, because especially if she's been testing you for a while and you change it, she is going to throw everything at you. So like as we were taught it, and as I've done, so get away from me, slam the door and run to the bedroom. He has to follow. He comes into the bedroom. I go, get the F away. Doona over my head. He grabs the doona. He takes it away. Don't you come near me. Don't you dare. Don't take this doona away. And he's just going to try and hug me. I'm going to hit him. I'm going to get away from me. I'm going to test. You're going to be like, this isn't working. Maybe I should listen to her. Men are right. Like, I've got to listen to her. She said, get away. You're not going to attack her. You just got to hug her, and you just got to keep saying, I love you. I've got you. Everything's going to be okay.
Yeah.
And at one point, she will melt. And then everything changes.
Yes.
From then on.
And then share what it was really about, which you go, oh, let's get rid of flies for good then, guys. Let's just, as an example. But yes, yeah.
But the worst thing you can do, what most couples do, the woman tests, has the hissy, the guy stays on the couch and just goes, oh, she'll calm down. She'll get over it. She will, but she'll remember it, and a bit every single time comes out of the relationship.
Or if she doesn't leave the room, often then the male energy would leave the room.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just remember
those. That was helpful.
It's a different thing we're talking about today, but super valuable, super...
Well, this is what Phil and Tash is all about. It's just sharing, and who's to say it's right or wrong? I learnt it, certainly took our relationship to the next level. I'm not saying you have to. I'm not saying it's the way. I'm just saying...
Everyone you've learnt and discussed and been around who's done it before and implemented, they all go, yeah, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, each and every time. Just have that patience, that understanding, and
let us know in the comments. I'd love to know when you've tried it, and I'd love to know. It's always the best thing hearing the women's stories. Like, what have you ever said to your partner, or what have you lost it at him about for something so innocuous?
And then when they've done what we've talked about, and you're like, holy shit, it worked.
Awesome. All right, we'll leave it with you. Enjoy.
All right, see you next time.